Welcome to Breathe, a weekly audio podcast presented by Breath of Life. And now, here's the host, Pastor W. Snell, and co-host David Person.
Welcome to Breathe. I'm David Person. And as you may recall, last episode, our host of Breathe, Pastor W. Snell, was away, vacationing, traveling the world, doing what the big shots do. And so I'm sitting in here for him for this episode of Breathe, continuing our conversation with Julian Waddell, an expert on entrepreneurship, an associate professor at Oakwood University, and the executive director of the OU Launchpad. Here is part 2 of my conversation with Julian. We're going to run out of time soon, so there are a couple of other things I want to discuss with you before we have to get out of here. The first one is an extension of what we just talked about. When you look at the how the Seventh-day Adventist Church functions, or how church, let me not even say Seventh-day Adventist Church necessarily, but just churches in general, how they function on a weekly basis. Do you have any concerns or ideas or thoughts about what needs to be done in churches, and maybe even more broadly speaking in the denominations as it relates to making sure that cybersecurity issues are being addressed, and that we're thinking about the implications of what happens when they're not being addressed?
So I look at church, the denomination, everything. I look at that as a hub, and that hub basically, it not only helps me from a spiritual standpoint, but it's supposed to help me grow. It help me become better, and I think that being able to do more and actually show different ways that there are opportunities for growth, such as your personal security, being able to grow a business, all these different aspects should be something that you could find in the church. I think that it's like sometimes the idea of church is limited. It's like I look at what church is supposed to be an extension of the teachings of the Bible. And it's supposed to be able to allow for us to be able to not only just learn about the things that are supposed to save us spiritually, but also being able to allow us to be able to grow in this world. So that involves different things in regards to how to be secure, how to be able to grow whatever thing you're trying to grow, how to be able to help others. And that's some of the things that that's some of the things that you would learn in the Bible. And I think that's why the church has a bigger role to play in regards to making sure that those different avenues are pushed in the community.
Mm-hmm. Do you see churches as being uniquely vulnerable as it relates to cyber attacks?
Yes, I do, because with all the work that the church does in the community, I would say a lot of the resources aren't really placed on making sure that the church is in a place to be able to be protected at all times. It's like you wouldn't see on the staff a cybersecurity expert. You might see an IT person that may double as, I can do some cybersecurity work. But you don't necessarily say, I'm going to hire a chief information security officer as a particular role. Now, I'm not saying that in regards to denominations. Of course, in regards to the full denomination, they may have that at, for instance, for us, we have that for General Conference. Mm-hmm. But as you scroll all the way down, I wouldn't necessarily see that inside, say, a church itself. And I think that should be taken into consideration, because just like a church, without going into too much detail in regards to that, but the way that I look at it is that churches, schools, those are the places that I would see bad actors target. It's like those are the places where, I'm just going to fill this out and pay my tithe. Or, for instance, at a school, it's like these are all of my records early on before I get to where I'm supposed to be. I think of using President Biden for an example, right? Mm-hmm. You wouldn't go after the White House to try to get his data. You would go, where did he go to school? Because that's the lowest hanging fruit.
Got you. Okay.
So, and at those places, you have to fill out stuff like your FAFSA. All that data is there that you would need. So when you're thinking along the line of what street did you grow up on? What those security questions? What was your dog? All those different things. What was your first email that you probably have still kept from when you were in school, or that you may have connected when you're paying your tithe at church, or whatever, something that's personal. Mm-hmm. Those are the places that a bad actor would target versus somewhere that is extremely difficult to get in. Something my mentor told me when I was in school, there's no such thing as absolute security. Mm-hmm. But if you make it more difficult, a person's going to more so go after the easier target versus I have to do all these different things for this limited payoff.
Right. That makes sense. A hacker or a bad actor is going to more than likely pick the easier targets where they don't have to do a lot to get the returns that they want.
Yes.
Yeah. They'd rather, if I can attack Julian Waddell or Christian Lawson or David Person and get what I need to get, why would I spend 50 hours trying to break into the Pentagon?
Yes.
Bypass their security. Yeah, that makes sense. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, or ask you to do for us, is to, and I know we covered a lot of ground today. A lot of it was involved some technical stuff, but I hope people got the gist of it. Can you give me just a few key things that you would advise anyone to do if they think they want to be an entrepreneur?
Okay. It's funny. I watched a video the other day, and the video was like, think about the vision for yourself. Because when a lot of people think about entrepreneurship, they just think about business ownership in and of itself. Mm-hmm. But they're not thinking about where is it that you really want to be in your life? Like, what is your purpose? And so I would suggest people start there. Don't just start from the standpoint that I am supposed to create this business so I can make money. Think about what is it that you feel that you were put on this earth to do. Think about that vision and go to the highest level of that you see your vision. And once you reach that, try to push past that. Try to look at the impossible of what you think you're capable of doing and start like creating a vision for yourself. Once you have that vision for yourself, then start the process of working out the steps of how you would go about doing that. In order for a person to go into entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of long nights, there's a lot of building, there's a lot of time where you're saying, man, I should have just stayed at my job. And when you're building, mm-hmm. you have to continue knowing where you're going. So I like to tell people sometimes, look at the journey of entrepreneurship like driving up 65. You go all the way, if you are here in Huntsville and you're driving north 65, it ends in Gary. But Gary isn't your goal. You're trying to go over to, say, Chicago or keep on going to Wisconsin. It's like by knowing your destination of where you're trying to go, it allows you to be able to know how to pivot, to know where to go when it's time to change, and allows when you hit that end of that highway to be able to say, you know what, that's not it, because that's not my destination. I need to continue. I need to change. I need to be able to do those different things. And so being able to start with what your true vision is, what you think your purpose is, you can then allow you to think along the line of, although things may not be going the way that I want them to go, I know where I am trying to go and I know where God wants me to be. Mm-hmm. And I can continue going even though I hit these hiccups. So I think that's the main thing. And I know I can be a little bit long-winded in regards to that, but I think that's extremely important.
Oh, it is.
Outside of that, the different tips I would give is be open to work with people. Be open to actually ask for help, and look in your community. In every single one of these communities, there are entrepreneurship supporting organizations that provide the support that you may need to be able to do what you're trying to do. So once you've honed in on what your purpose is, once you've figured out, okay, now I know how to go about doing that, I'm creating this business idea, take advantage of the resources that are in your community, because there you might find opportunities for you to get funding, to be able to find a like-minded community that can help you grow your business. And it might be a lot easier than you think it is, because a lot of the times when people grow their business, they think they have to track and do it themselves. But there's a community out there that's not only willing to help them, but provide the resources that are available. It's so surprising how many people don't take advantage of all of the resources that are in Huntsville. When I mentioned in the very beginning that there are 9 entrepreneurship centers that I can name of, at these entrepreneurship centers or accelerators or incubators, they have pitch competitions and workshops that are low. They have low attendance. Mm-hmm. They're advertised and people don't show up because they don't think it's for them. Mm-hmm. But most of the time they're free. And you would have these CPAs, these IT experts, these business plan specialists, and they help you take your business idea to the next level.
Julian Waddell, professor at Oakwood University, executive director of the OU Launchpad, and entrepreneur with 2 companies.
Yes.
Consultant to Pharrell Williams. I mean, the list goes on and on. Man, thank you for joining us today.
I am happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, that wraps up this podcast episode of Breathe. I'm David Person. On behalf of the host, Pastor Snell, God bless you. And I hope that you will remember that no matter how challenging life may be, and those of you who are entrepreneurs or who are trying to be entrepreneurs, believe me, as Julian just said, it's going to be challenging at times. But don't worry. You can always stop for a minute. Take a break, pray, and breathe.
Breathe is produced by David Person for Breath of Life. Christian Lawson and Damian Malone provide production assistance. The opening theme was produced by David Person and James Bowman. James Bowman and Kelvin Wooten produced the closing theme. Special thanks to our broadcast partner, WJOU-FM Oakwood University Radio. Episodes of Breathe can be found on your favorite podcasting platforms. Please like them and share. Until next time, when life gets difficult, don't forget to breathe.